Hey everybody, this is Space Marine Steve from On Tabletop, and I am very excited. Why? Because there's Space Marines everywhere. We are here to do another Army showcase with our very own Takawana. This is your Ultramarines army. You picked Ultramarines.
I did.
And me and everybody sitting at home need to know why Ultramarines.
I work in the marketing profession, and when they said these are the poster boys, and you kind of like all the advertising and everything that you see, I just fell in love. Like they got to me. There are a ton of ways to get into the universe. A lot of people enter through story and lore. A lot of people enter through game and just being interested in the game first, and some enter just being hobbyists. And so I entered as a hobbyist. I really just wanted to paint Space Marines. I just went with the poster boys because that's what I knew.
You've committed, and you've committed hard to this one faction, and you have painted them all up absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Walk us through it. Like, how did you go from gray plastic to this?
What I would say about painting, or even just playing this game, is that you've got to love what you've put on the table. For me, because I'm a hobbyist first, I really wanted to just put things on the table that I was really proud of, that I wanted to kind of show off. And I'm a little bit of an introvert, I'm pretty shy, so I let my army make me my friends. So you go to a tournament, and if I'm not the one talking to somebody may come over and say, oh, the Ultramarines look really good, you did a really good job of painting them, and then that becomes a conversation starter. And when you go to, let's say, a tournament or even a hobby store, very high chance you're meeting like-minded people. And I met you through a tournament.
Yeah.
I met Tycho through a tournament.
Tycho's back there. Say hi, Tycho.
I met Nick at a tournament, JT at a tournament. Yeah, so this hobby has afforded me a lot of friends.
Yeah, and it's afforded us play on in general.
It has afforded us play on in general. We've taken kind of the love and the desire to kind of share that love and share our passions, and we've broadened it, and now we actually have a channel that allows us to do this with an audience of like hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, I know. It's big, and it's bigger than we thought it would be, faster than we thought it would be, and it's been a wild ride.
But so fun.
Very fun.
It's fulfilled something that I didn't know that I needed. That's kind of the crazy part of it. Is me and Tycho were talking about this earlier, where I go to YouTube, and I prefer now watching YouTube content because I feel more of a connection with the creators. They seem more down to earth. They seem like they're doing their shows because whatever the topic they've chosen, they love that topic, or they're really into that topic. And if you're really into that content, that means you share that with that content creator.
The connection is everything. And you have a connection with these models, with your paint scheme, with the way that you play, and that helps you connect with other hobbyists whenever you go out and meet in tournament settings or at a game store or whatever it is. This is a tool of connection.
You know what? I love a tool of challenge.
Yeah.
Right? Because games are fun because you're challenging each other. But on top of that, one thing that I'm really proud that my Ultramarines did was at one tournament at Attack X a few years ago, I was playing a Dark Eldar player, and we had a bloody battle. It was an amazing time. I was looking over at the Ultramarines, saying, these are well painted, I really want to get to this level, so on and so forth. But at the end of that game, he turns to me and says, I'm going to do it. I'm going to learn how to airbrush, and I'm going to take best painted. And at the next Wet Coast, Kazra,
yeah, he did it
with his beautiful Dark Eldar, won best painted.
Yeah,
and it was fantastic, and even you.
Yeah.
We have challenged you over the course of the three seasons to kind of up your painting game.
Yeah, and you can see, with the exception of the Siege Studios ones, I didn't do that. The artists at Siege Studios did, but you can see from when I first started at Play on Tabletop to this third season, like if you go and watch like some of the Tomb World episodes and stuff like that, like I've got much better painted models than when I started with, and that's because we push each other.
We do. Right? We challenge each other. We want each other to be better. And even Nick, and this hurts my soul a lot, not even a little bit, it hurts my soul a lot. He came in here and kind of looked at, I think, one of your Spaceman captains or librarians, and he picked up one of mine and he says, I can't tell the difference.
Yep. Funny enough, you can't tell the difference either because I put him somewhere in here and you can't find him.
There's a lot of blue on the table. Give me a break.
So the interesting thing about that too is that you've actually challenged me to, like, I started airbrushing just actually with play on. I didn't used to airbrush before that. I just rattle canned, brush paint, the whole deal. And I also never used to use Vallejo paints. I used to use things like Citadel and like I was just Games Workshop to the max, right? I didn't veer out of that. And I didn't explore. However, knowing that this was all painted with Vallejo and knowing that they make some of the best airbrush paints ever, right? Like I converted to that, right? So now I use this, right? Which I never used to do before. And I think when you connect with a player that challenges you like that, right? It broadened my hobby horizons, right? So let's talk about that a little bit. So you airbrush like all of this, right?
Yeah, I used to work with Gundams, scale models, so like I was always airbrushing. Yeah. And I kind of one day decided to go to a smaller miniature. The airbrush is kind of like built into me. I've been airbrushing probably for like 20 years. I used to do it with Tamiyas.
Oh, it's like chemical paints, isn't it?
I really, really love Tamiya.
The colors are incredible.
Because they weren't water-based, you needed different processes. It just wasn't conducive to where I was painting. So then I tried to look for other brands that I could use, and I came across Vallejo, and I haven't looked back. And what happens, especially like if you want to endeavor into painting eventually 10,000 plus points, consistency becomes an issue. I'm not one of those really meticulous guys with a very, very sound process. I don't kind of record in my notebook ratios and stuff like that to remember how to paint this. I kind of want to just pick up Ultramarine blue and go, okay, I know this is my base. I can take that to any new model that I want to put into the army, and I'm going to be completely okay.
This one.
That's the one, Ultramarine blue.
And this whole pot does all this.
Wow.
I'm kidding. That's not true.
Pick your base, and if you're like me, you want to paint an entire army, and you're going to do it over years, right? Try to choose right out of the pot.
Yeah.
Because then you don't have to remember your mixes and your ratios. And you know what? If you have a really strong base, and I use Ultramarine blue as my base for the Ultramarines, you can experiment with your shadows and your highlights.
Which is what you've done here.
Yeah, so over the course of time, you've seen me kind of progress from using black as my shadow to using purple as my shadow, which gives me a much deeper, more vibrant blue.
Funny enough, so things like, there's a range of like blues and different colors that give you that, and that's all worked off of your.
I don't know if you did that on purpose, but three of those actually are the ones that I actually use in this army now.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt.
So Imperial blue being kind of my mid-tone, Ultramarine blue being my base, and I've actually started to use Hex Lichen as my shadow.
That's this guy right here. This is the game color version, but they have an airbrush version as well.
Then you can kind of pick up those pots, and you know that you're going to get a consistent finish the next unit that you paint, and the unit after that, and a year later, if you had to take a break, the next unit. One painter that I really respect a lot is Angel Heraldez.
Yeah.
And the guy's a master. I don't know how he does it, but he goes from kind of very dark shadows to these very, like, he goes white. A lot of painters say don't use white because it's a dilution, but he will go right to white as his final highlight, and it looks fantastic. So I tried something like that, and with miniatures and playing a tabletop game, most of the time you're playing across a 6 foot table or a 4 foot table, and your opponent wants to interact with your miniatures and immerse themselves in the scene, but they're going to do it from 4 to 6 feet away. So having a lot of highlight or having a lot of tonal variation in your models helps them see the details of that miniature from that distance. I will never win a Golden Demon. That's not the way that I paint.
That's not the way it goes.
Thanks. But I have won best painted at local tournaments just because I think people can see my army from far away and interact from far, and it looks impressive from far away. It looks okay up close too.
So what are your favorite things about Ultramarines? So let's, like, aside not why you play Ultramarines, I'm talking about like
because I'm a sucker for marketing.
But like what about them like truly like maybe pick from like the lore. Like what do you know about the Ultramarine lore?
I'm a hobbyist, not a lore guy. So, but you know what? Everything, like you're Space Marine Steve.
Why? Yeah.
Maybe tell the audience a little bit about the Ultramarines from your perspective, like, because I don't know.
They are like the main defenders of humanity. They have one of the only Imperial living Primarchs, right? Macrog is their planet of... And that is actually the story of the Ultramarines.
Thank you for that.
No problem, dude.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
You
great.
feeling okay?
A little winded, actually, yeah. But, you know, I'm feeling all right. Let's talk a little bit more about 40K kind of in general. So you got your start in 40K, you've picked Ultramarines, you've gone to town with Ultramarines. They look fantastic.
And there's more coming.
And there's more coming. As you said, like 8 more of these or something.
Yeah, I can't stop. It's just so much fun.
So why is it so much fun? What about 40K has made you want to play it for years and years and years and start a business based on it?
I didn't really think we were starting a business.
It kind of became that.
Still doesn't really feel like a business. It was kind of a natural progression of, we talked about this before, kind of influence, right? And kind of really enjoying challenging people and influencing people to have a good time. And I think that's what Play On stands for, is like you have a good time. And one of the things I'm most proud of in this hobby is kind of going to tournaments and trying not to sound egotistical here, but having success in a particular category.
Wow, that was so egotistical.
Yeah, I know, right? I've won a lot of painting trophies and sportsman trophies,
okay.
and
just shut it down.
who's been #1 Space Marines for a few years?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. In essence, it's a little bit about challenging yourself as well. In my case, challenging myself to be better in terms of painting, improve my game. I try to improve and kind of refine my style with every new unit I paint. And when I go to a tournament, the most important thing is to ensure that my opponents have fun. I mean, I don't think I would have met any of you guys, or you would have not answered the call if I wasn't a nice person at these tournaments when I met them.
That's very true, yeah.
Luckily, in the local tournaments, we have a best overall. And so best overall means that you won a decent amount of games, you have a good battle score, but your opponents like playing you. And in that sexual rubric, they actually ask everyone at the tournament to vote for who they enjoyed playing the most, or rank them.
Yeah.
And then you also have to be a good hobbyist. Like, people also vote for your painting. And I've been honored, lucky enough, where my first ever tournament, Finley Craig's Tosser Cavers,
Yeah.
I went in there as a complete noob, like Space Wolves, didn't even know this game at all, like didn't know what I was doing, had some fantastic games, had a lot of great opponents, and took home best overall. And what that taught me was, like, it's really important to, be that good sportsman, make sure that your opponent's having fun. And it's people, I think, go to these tournaments to also share the experience. And when they see another army that inspires them, or they have a lot of fun looking at that army, they remember it, and they go home feeling hopefully a little bit happier. Everyone here, we're fairly competitive. Sometimes we don't show that on the channel, but we like to win. And I think people like to go and play 40K because of the challenge as well. So you're not going there just to have fun, or in my case, I'm not going there just to have fun. I'm there to present a challenge and to try to win. But there's a way to win. So I've been lucky enough to take, I took best overall at Finley's tournament, and I've won it a couple times now at local tournaments.
You've done favorite painted too a couple of times that I've been places.
Yeah, and that's actually a good distinction. Favorite painted. Sometimes it's not about being the best. Sometimes it's about you have a theme, or you have a story with your army that you want to share. And sometimes, even if you're not the most highly technical painter, if that story comes across, you might win that award. And
the army is very magnetic, right? When you walk by and it's sitting on a display board, you look, right? And when it catches people's eye like that, that's when you start gathering those kind of favorite painted votes.
But more than that, you start making new friends. It's been a real fun journey.
Yeah, and you know what? The great thing about this is that the journey is not over. It's a humbling and invigorating experience
to share this with everybody, to have people watch our content, to have people like our content, to have people emulate our content.
Yeah.
Too, right? It's been a lot of fun watching that. Again, like I'm really enjoying the challenges for us to be better, because we are not done yet. This is not our ceiling. The challenges, even playing our games are challenges.
Yeah.
I will openly admit, sometimes even in this meta, where I could be playing AdMech, you have forced me to play Space Marines.
I've forced you to play Space Marines. We actually have a challenge. Because I'm always going for his top Canadian Space Marines every year, and then he wakes up in the morning and goes, "No,
No, this is his fault. This is completely.
this is my fault. You can't pin this on me."
I wake up in the morning and I get like a message. Steve's gone off to some tournament somewhere and didn't like tell me about it.
Yep, it's true. In secret.
In secret, goes to the tournament and it's like, I'm doing really well. Like I'm going to take top Space Marine this year. You can't do that to me first thing in the morning before coffee, because first thing before coffee, I'm a little on the cranky side.
Yeah.
So I wasn't gonna hear any of that, considering I was, I think, top Space Marine the year before.
You were, yeah. So I'm like, oh, it's happening.
You were trying to take my crown.
I was, yeah. It was great.
I'm not actually that good. Space Marines were through
We were really bad back then.
mid 8th edition. They were not. So
Laughably bad.
But again, through good or bad times, and maybe this is the last point we'll make. Through good or bad times, if you enjoy the effort that you put into an army, if you enjoy the stories, if you enjoy the process of painting them, you're excited to get a new unit on the table because you want to add it to your already growing collection, you will play that army through bad times, right? Like I played Space Marines while Space Marines were kind of low on the totem pole.
Yeah. So did I.
And I still had a blast. If you enjoy the look of the army, I'm confident you will enjoy playing the army.
And even enjoy painting the army too.
Can't believe you got Vallejo. That is.
They are a fantastic paint range, a very versatile product, great people.
They are sponsors, so we are saying good things about them, but honestly, before we got them as a sponsor, and I didn't think we would. Like this is.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Yeah, I didn't think we would either, but it happened because they love it.
Proof is in the pudding. Do people still say that?
Only you, Tech.
Probably.
Only you.
This entire army, like way before I even play on, was painted with Vallejo, so I definitely stand by the product. I love using the product. I've continued to use the product.
You've converted people to use
I've converted people. Their mecha fluorescent range.
Oh, it's nuts, yeah.
Is like you want something to look like it's glowing on the table.
Yep.
Whew, that is a pain. Super happy that we've got Vallejo on board. You will probably see me continuing to paint Ultramarines as well as other things. And yeah.
Well, I think that wraps up this Army Showcase for the Ultramarines, sponsored by Vallejo Game Colors. And I am so excited for where this journey is going to take us. Tack, together we say, until we see you again, play on. That was not in sync.
Why don't you, because we missed that outro hard.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us what happened with Ultramarines after the Indominus Crusade?